Okay guys, imagine John Wick, but Korean. Exactly. John Cook with a gun. This is Killer Peter, a manhwa about the greatest assassin in the world who has become a living legend. A name synonymous with death. Yeah, that's right. He's called Peter. Anyways, he's been betrayed by his criminal organization. All his money has been stolen and they're now hunting him down. So he gets in a fight with another assassin. But due to his age and cancer, he can't really fight back anymore. So he's mortally wounded and runs away. But he collapses and he just lays there on the playground as he's about to bleed out. And then everything goes dark. Except it doesn't. Oh my god, is this gonna be an isekai? I don't know, like the world's finest assassin in another world? Actually, we already have that one. Oh wait, never mind. He's alive. I guess he's young again. And he's so fabulous. So now he obviously wants to get revenge. He first goes after the people that fatally wounded him. And he then packs them up with an octopus? Honestly, if someone wrapped an octopus around my neck to subdue me, I'm just not fit to be an assassin anymore. I'm giving up. Like, there's obviously too many levels to this. Oh nah, he turned him into a seafood boil. Peter then packs up these randoms and gives them a lesson while beating them up. The amount of disrespect. Following this, he goes after one of the guys that hunted him down, Octoman. And he just turned this guy into origami. What is wrong with you? Peter then pulls up to this guy's restaurant and he's just aura farming, eating and not even acknowledging him. Peter then literally kills one of his henchmen by using chopsticks. He then proceeds to spray chili sauce on his face and also snaps his neck. But actually he doesn't, because that's Octoman's specialty. It doesn't matter though, because Peter's the one that taught him this technique. So he's just completely obliterated. Now Peter plans on infiltrating the organization. So he goes and visits an old blind friend, who tells him that his plan is insane. You see, Peter's going to become part of the organization by infiltrating a school that is backed by the Glory Club, which is the name of the organization. And the Glory Club has already become one of the most influential organizations in Japan. And the boss is now hell-bent on hunting Peter down. You know, it's like entering the eye of the tornado. And as Peter suddenly announces that he's a killer, you can see that the secret students have guns and all that brandished already. The thing is, one of Octoman's henchmen, Yuna, also goes to the school. So Peter tries to get her to help him. And she's like, what do you think you're gonna achieve in here? What are you trying to do? And bro just... He then says her real name and proceeds to disappear into thin air. After this manhwa just shows how much better Peter is than everyone else. The thing is, 50% of this webtoon is Peter just getting glazed. Anyways, Peter gets scouted by the Secret Killer Club, which forces the assassins of the Glory Club. And normally, you can only get in if you're part of this orphanage. But Peter's just built different. So, Peter and these guys are sent on their first mission to the amusement park, and... who made these translations? This is from webtoon, by the way. So our guys are intentionally captured. But it turns out the guy that we're about to face off against was once nominated to be an apostle, the highest rank at Glory Club. And he likes to saw off people's legs like he did to our coach. Damn, he's so dangerous, we even get these guys' backstory. So in this orphanage where these killers are raised, before graduating from it, there's something called the Hell Period, where you're left to fend for yourself with only a single bullet and a gun. And you can see how they fought against wild animals. And by the end of it, they were the only 2 out of the 181 children to survive. Besides just being straight up cruel, this has to be the most inefficient way to train anybody. And not even in their own backstory are we safe from Peter being glazed, as he survived it completely barehanded apparently. So after these two get beat up, Peter finally steps in, and he uses a random object as a weapon. I can see this formula getting boring very quickly. Him always just defeating his opponent with an unorthodox weapon. Yo, please Peter, could you at least in battle stop morging everyone? Peter then proceeds to stick this guy's grenade into his mouth, so that's how he wins. And as a reward, they're now officially killers in glory. A little side tangent, in one guy's backstory, Peter legitimately puts someone down by using a literal coin. That's gotta be like top 3 most embarrassing deaths. Then our guys are bullied by these senior killers. And they're like making fun of them for being orphans. But aren't y'all from the same orphanage? And thus, y'all are also orphans? That's like a black guy bullying another black guy for his skin color. Anyways, they steal their killer licenses. And after everything's settled down, Peter goes to get his get back. And Peter's aura is so terrifying that just standing in front of this guy made him envision a future where he lost 1,000 times over. So the next day he just gives the licenses back. Well, that was kind of pointless. Now finally we're getting to the apostles. Peter is now in a position where he's forced to attack Nathaniel, or his identity will be revealed. So Peter makes a public announcement that he will fight Nathaniel at his hospital. This way he can sneak in with all the other station D-rank killers. I just want to mention one thing. Who eats fried chicken like that? Who in their right mind picks up a drumstick with a fork? we figure out that Nathaniel is really messed up. Bro's out here incubating people and creating superhumans. Bro grabbed him through the wall. Nathaniel is now blackmailing Yuna with her younger brother. He snapped her wrist with 2 fingers. He wants Yuna to betray Peter, as he figured out they were somehow connected. But Yuna doesn't betray him. But Peter still saves her. And now he has to fight 100 killers before he can go up against Nathaniel, which he obviously does. In some incredibly well-flowing action. I don't think I've said it yet, but the art is actually amazing. So after destroying everyone, he can finally go up against the superhuman Nathaniel. His whole shtick just was wanting to become the most superior human. And in order to prove that, he just went around the world, going up against the strongest leg, haha, he took it. The strongest fist, he punched harder. So in Peter's and Nathaniel's fight, they're destroying like half the building. And it turns out Nathaniel experimented on himself, as he now looks like the colossal titan. But even that is not enough to take down Peter, so bro gets high to beat him. But that is actually too much and he gets so stiff that he can't move anymore. And it ends with Peter killing him. We then get his backstory, which shows that he was actually a really weak child. And he deluded himself into thinking that the reason that he was given this weak body was so they could achieve a level of strength ordinary humans never could. Now that that's done with, Peter goes to meet an old apostle friend. Because what I haven't mentioned yet is that Peter was also an apostle once. Which makes sense because Bible and all that, you know. So he meets him, the spiral sword master Simon. Everything is fine and dandy. Simon figures out that he's Peter. They talk and tell each other that they'll always be there to rely on one another. We even get a backstory on how the old apostles were betrayed. Because Raphael was the one who killed the old boss, his own adoptive father, so that he could take the crown for himself. And that made Glory turn into a filthy house of killers full of bloodshed and corruption. After this, Peter and Simon say their goodbyes to each other. But then late in the night, the old apostle Simon is attacked by the new Simon. And they clash for a while, until the old Simon pulls out his ultimate move. And to be honest, it's kind of embarrassing. Let me just set the tone. Fine, I'll show it to you. Spiral Sword Mastery! What? Spiral Sword Mastery! Like bro, who do you think you are, Tanjiro? All that doesn't matter though, because the new Simon was making him imagine things by using poison gas. So the old Simon is kidnapped and loses an arm. Peter is slightly agitated when he finds out. Yep, so this is the next apostle fight. And it's literally happening on a random ship in the ocean. Which is actually Glory Club's main base. Yo, so the job of this guy is basically being a cuck. And she is just straight up evil. She's impulsive to an unnatural degree. The moment something doesn't go her way, she lashes out at everyone. The type of person where you're scared to death if you look at them the wrong way. The moment something slightly goes wrong, she kills her goon and proceeds to release a gas weapon on the ship that could kill over 200,000 people. That part is just straight up a war crime, behaving as if there are no consequences in real life. And I forgot to mention, this ship is filled with some of the most influential people in the world. I just wanted to let you know that the manhwa played her up to be this monstrous evil. Of course Peter tries and go to stop her. And, Peter, why are you only killing black? Because those are the pirates she hired. That was a great save. But of course Peter's still not worried, when she just released the equivalent of a nuke. Anyways, Peter and her fight, and her special ability is having different poison gases, but she's destroyed and even loses an arm. So now it turns out that the cuck by her side was actually the real Simon all along. And what makes him so powerful? Easy. This guy's blood is burning. It's literally acidic. There was literally a whole backstory about babies being made acidic or something like that. And then his whole clan got slaughtered. Kinda like another orphan. And again, Peter resolves the conflict with a random weapon. Because the alkaline solution the mob was drenched in interfered with the acid. Dude literally got defeated by 7th grade chemistry. And she appears again. They kiss, kinda like this. She dies. And we get a sad backstory, where it turns out she had a bad life. I just don't like it when stories do this. What I specifically mean is when stories try to create sympathy for characters like this. Because this tragic backstory is not earned. Not a single time she was even hinted at having a redeemable quality. The story builds her up to be this completely morally corrupt bad guy. The author thinks just because this character acknowledges her faults in her last moments, that it means that her character death was tragic. But no, the sudden change in attitude, coupled with the before-death backstory, just makes this feel like a rushed and forced tragedy. Afterwards, the cuck fights even harder. And Peter's just throwing items at him, like he's got an inventory or something. Anyways, Peter gets him on his side, by telling him that everything bad that happened in his backstory, which I didn't explain at all, was because of Glory Club's boss. But before I continue, having said everything about the writing, the author does excel at creating hype moments. Okay, next apostle fight. Racist teenager beats up albino blind man. So his whole shtick is using echolocation while he's in the dark. And when I tell you that Peter beats him up, I mean it. Peter's aura and presence was so strong that for a moment he was able to regain his vision. Imagine beating up your opponent so badly, they gain their vision back. That's the type of miracle that we're talking about in the Bible. Of course, bro runs away afterwards. Man, he's a better man than me. I would have left the country. I just want to say the boss's behavior makes zero sense. He sends an apostle to get this guy killed. And when that doesn't work, he goes there himself. But he just gives him a warning? Then why did you order someone to kill him in the first place? Next up, Island Battle Royale arc. And we meet another apostle, Thaddeus. And he just plainly asks all the D-rank killers, if you're Peter, raise your hand. That worked? Of course it was just bait, but there was literally zero reason to do this beside aura farming. Yo, Peter is even good at letting himself get beat up. Okay, so here's the boss's plan for this battle royale. In order to find Peter, he plans on killing every single D rank. First of all, that's a stupid plan. Just so you realize this entire plan is based on the assumption that Peter is part of Glory at the moment and is a D rank killer. And based off that, he plans on taking out an integral part of his organization. Doing this based off a hunch makes him seem like an actual imbecile. If your main villain genuinely seems like an idiot, then it just removes all tension from the story. He can be as strong as he wants, but that doesn't mean anything if the reader doesn't view him as a threat. One thing that most great villains have in common is that the author doesn't need to directly tell you that they are terrifying and a threat. Through their actions in the story, we see what they're capable of. But when a villain's actions are this dumb, we can't take them seriously. In the end, Thaddeus and Peter protect the D ranks, and they kind of become friends. So Thaddeus invites him over to where he lives, which is one of the most dangerous places in the world, by the way. And I'd say personally that this arc is probably the best in the manhwa. Thaddeus as a character is actually really interesting. His playful nature is compelling, but he can still have deep character moments. At the point where we get his backstory, we already know him well enough as to where his tragedy feels deserved. Having said that, his powers are bullshit. What do you mean his reaction time is 0 seconds? It just instantly happens? Like when he fights Peter, what do you mean he saw your muscles twitch and instantly closed his eyes as a reflex? Just to avoid getting blinded by the light. And under circumstances, his hand can be sharper than the sharpest sword. But in this arc, we also figure out that the boss's ultimate goal is taking over the world. What an interesting goal. Not cliche at all. I'll just give a little rundown as to why I think that Thaddeus' arc works. From the start, he's set up to be someone that's being exploited. The only reason he defends this place is because this is his home, with the memories of his mother. He never actively antagonizes Peter. When Peter and Thaddeus fight, you actually root for him. And once Peter tells him that the insane man he antagonized his entire life was actually his father trying to protect him, that hits. Because that backstory is built on a foundation. And when Thaddeus fights another apostle, and he's fatally wounded while protecting another person, you are invested and don't want him to die. And then the scene in which Peter carries him on his back and he supposedly dies would have actually been a great conclusion. Peter calling out Thaddeus' name and telling him to wake up. This is a tragic death done right. But he doesn't die. He lives. And as much as I hate fake out deaths because they take away the weight of the moment, in this context and considering how well this character worked in the story, I think it's fine. Afterwards, we come to the climax of season 1. They go to this temple and ask an old apostle to heal Thaddeus. And this is where we get an important part of Peter's backstory. Damn, the old apostle Nathaniel was a baddie. In this backstory, we're introduced to his adoptive daughter and Judas. Well, this is not gonna go well. They are both on a mission where they find this child. Judas immediately wants to kill her, talking about some no witnesses. That thing ain't even sentient yet. She's not remembering anything. So Peter takes her in, but he has no idea how to care for her. So he wants Nathaniel to help him. And for a while they raise her together, until Peter decides to bring her to the orphanage, distance himself from her. He started ignoring her and didn't even give her a name, until she's kidnapped, because she's actually key to a weapon, but that doesn't matter. Peter then goes and saves her with everything he got. He also fights Judas, because of course he betrayed him, because he was jealous. In this battle, he leaves his daughter with Nathaniel, but they get shot and the daughter and Nathaniel are about to bleed out. Nathaniel tries to get help but collapses, and the house the daughter is in blows up, and she dies. Peter sees this and he is distraught. The most distress we've seen in the entire webtoon. This moment is significant because it shows us how deep Peter's trauma actually runs. The name his daughter was given by a caretaker actually came from Peter, Hannah, roughly translating to grace. Peter truly cared and he was full of self-doubt. In this climax, Peter and Judas fight again. And once again, Peter wins, and this time Judas dies as he falls to his death. Okay, enough of the serious talk. Why does bro have a BDSM suit on? They are just off having a freaky one-on-one. Just so you know, they on the same side. There is no reason for this fight to be happening. Now I'll tell you why 50% of the things I said about Hannah don't actually matter. Hannah is still alive. The boss just tells him that. And guess what? The new Nathaniel is alive as well. This removes all the emotional weight of those very moments. When every important character death is a fake out, then that just undermines your own story. Thaddeus' fake out death felt icky, but it was fine. You could even say that Peter felt like he redeemed himself by saving Thaddeus when he couldn't save his own daughter. But that isn't true if Hannah is still alive. And I literally don't understand why they brought Nathaniel back. These plot twists only serve to diminish the impact of your story. And don't get me wrong, fake out deaths can be good. But in this context specifically, they feel cheap. It makes you feel like you wasted your time. Okay, the webtoon also has its positives, because the art and action direction are magnificent. And the fact that a lot of the chapters have music is also incredible. It just adds another layer through which we can experience the story. And who knows, in the future, I might even eat the words I said about the story. It's like 2 McRibs out of 4 Minecraft diamonds.